Question of the day: can continuing a series actually fix a reading slump? Or is that just wishful thinking? I've been in a reading slump lately and I'm trying to get out of it. But instead of picking up something new, I went back to stories that I know I already love. I've been struggling a bit in general in life, as you do sometimes, and some things you have no control over whatsoever, but some things you do. So I went to the library and I picked up some continuations of series that I've already started, hoping that it will give me my reading spark back. I picked up förvandlad stad, or In a City Transformed by Anders Fogelström. This is the fourth book in the Stockholm series, a generational story that spans 110 years. Now, this is a Swedish classic that has managed to spellbind me for 3 books so far, so it feels like a safe bet, I'm hoping. Next is The Stonekeeper's Curse, and this one I initially picked up because I thought it could be a good recommendation for my niece. It's a middle grade graphic novel. I did really enjoy the first one, and this felt like an easy, approachable read, especially since I'm reading multiple books for this vlog and I just want to get back to reading for fun. I also wanted to get Authority by Jeff VanderMeer, the next book in the Southern Reach trilogy. I've read Annihilation and was so hooked, really intrigued by this very mysterious story, but it wasn't available. So I've put in a little reservation and I'm hoping that it will turn up in time for this vlog before it needs to be done. There aren't really any rules for this vlog. I'm just gonna take it one book at a time, enjoy life, and hopefully enjoy reading. But let's start with the Swedish classic. I'm exactly 50 pages in. For me, I just want to read another chapter and another chapter. And I really, really love that. It gives me hope for my reading slump. With these books though, I do sometimes get like a melancholy feeling. They also contain a lot of beautiful relationships. And it's almost like the city is one of those, like the character's relationship to the city itself. But there's also like a hint of sadness once in a while, and you have that push and pull between the past and the present and the future. I don't necessarily want to put it down, but I also have that melancholy feeling, so we'll see what happens. I don't know how many days it's been. I think 1 or 2. I'm not really sure. I did make it to part 2, and you really feel, compared to the other books, that we're now entering more of a modern era. Cars are now a growing part of the city. Older, poorer neighborhoods and areas are being demolished. They're building new buildings all around Stockholm, both housing and otherwise. But we're also entering the 30s and there's not that many jobs, especially for young people. And there's this big crisis. Everything kind of comes to a halt. Workers are fighting for their rights whilst employers want to cut down on their salaries to try and manage the crisis, and there's not even jobs to go around for everyone. What I like about these books is that you get a very human connection to the past. You see very clearly where a lot of what we take for granted comes from, with our rights and democracy. You're reminded that it wasn't always like this, and even though there are some setbacks, you can also see throughout the books workers' rights getting better step by step. One of the main characters that we follow in this book, Emily, when she is a young child, we see her grow up in a very poor environment. Her father is working himself to death, and now she's getting 2 weeks of vacation. So you can see, whilst following these people throughout generations, that things are improving. But you can also see now in the 30s, some parallels to what's happening in the world right now, which is also very scary. I mean, this is only 100 years ago, and I think it's important to remember the people that fought for us and that they fought for the rights that we have now. Well, the book makes me think a lot, at least. I haven't reached for it as much, but I've also been kind of busy working, and I don't have time to read more right now because I'm going to swim with my friend and her kid, and then I'm going to work. So, yeah. Also, no real update on the book Authority that I'm waiting for at the library. Still got a reservation, but haven't heard anything. I'm really hoping it's gonna get here in time, that I'm gonna get it. I want my book. So yeah, see you later. Okay, so for the last 2 nights, I've had trouble sleeping, so I've actually finished the book. So in the second part of this book, we go deeper into the crisis of the 30s and the unrest in Europe leading up to World War II. And it saddened me that I could see so many parallels to our time. Unemployment is high, young people feel out of place in the world, and the future feels really uncertain. There's also the rise of fascism. It really gives a sinking feeling. But there are beauty and hope in the characters. They help each other out. They support each other and seek help from each other. Even when they don't have much to give, they try to give what they can because someone else has less. And what I think is a recurring thing in these books is that the people, the characters, they see each other as a whole person, not just the good or the bad, that things can coexist. And I think that always moves me in these books. It gives so many strong and human moments. So this stretches from 1925 to 1945, and it ends with peace in Europe. And we also see some of the characters getting old and becoming like the oldest generation. And then we see the kids that they took care of growing up, having kids of their own. It's hard to describe why I'm so drawn to these books and why I can't put them down, because I always have the same feeling of not much happened. They're not filled with action. I really just want to continue on. The chapters are kind of short and it just flows really well. You just want to keep going. So in a way, I think that this was good for my reading slump, but I also feel like I was overwhelmed a little bit by the melancholy and sometimes the sadness. Yeah, so I think that it's time to move on to the next one. And let's go for Amulet. I still haven't heard from the library. I'm really hoping the Authority, that I will get it for this video because I also really want to read it. But let's go for Amulet for now. I got pulled in by the first volume straight away, so let me tell you a little bit about it. Emily and her younger brother move with their mother into an old, mysterious house. But one day, a creature drags their mother into a hidden world beneath it. Emily discovers a powerful amulet and follows, crossing into a strange, dangerous world to try and rescue her, coming face to face with something much bigger than she expected. I actually don't want to sprint through this, so I'm going to take a little break. The weather here has been really nice, and I think it's time to start fixing up my balcony. So I finished Amulet last night, but we won't have time to talk about it now because I'm going into town to meet my mom. But I also heard from the library that Authority is finally available. So I thought, let's go get that before I meet my mom. And then we'll chat about the book later. So we finished Amulet. I think that the artwork is really fun and beautiful. Some images are really beautiful. We have a kind of a chosen one trope. Say what you want about that. Sometimes, to me at least, that feels a little bit like it's been done so much that sometimes it's like, oh yeah, okay, another chosen one. But it works really well in middle grade. It really does. Might be a little too brutal and scary for my niece. She's 8, but maybe soon. And I think I'll continue on to the next volume. It was... Okay, so in terms of helping me with my reading slump, I mean, it was a fast read and I was committed to the story. So I feel like I'm not entirely there yet, but we now have Authority by Jeff VanderMeer, and I'm hoping that this will be it. I am going to say that Mistborn was kind of what led me on this journey because it kind of kickstarted my will to read a little bit more. I am reaching for the books that I'm reading more than I did like 2 months ago. So I have high hopes for this one because I could not put the first one down. But I'm basically gonna head out the door and meet a friend, so I'm gonna bring this with me. In the first book of the series, we follow a team, the 12th Expedition, entering the mysterious Area X. We only know the members by their titles, and the story is told entirely from the perspective of the biologist. Previous expeditions have either disappeared, returned, changed, or ended in disaster. The team is there to try to understand what Area X really is and what it's doing to the people who enter it. Okay, so right now in my life, I just trying to get out of the apartment as much as possible. I've had a lot of bad luck with being sick and injured and stuff like that, so I've had to be home from work and I just can't stay inside in my apartment anymore. So today I'm going to a park to read a little bit, and of course Authority is coming with me. I haven't made a lot of headway. We're jumping into a totally different point with different characters than where we left off in Annihilation. So I'm just trying to get into the rhythm of that and get to know these new characters. Yeah, there's a little mystery there, but it's a bit confusing. But I also remember Annihilation being kind of confusing. So I think I just have to be patient. Yeah. So yeah. Let's go to the park. Almost 100 pages in, on page 98. And, okay, so not much has really happened. They are working with the, what should you say, aftermath of the 12th expedition that we followed in book 1. And there are some question marks as to where we left off and where we are now. So there are a bit of a mystery to it, but it's mostly just like the mundane everyday work of the character that we're following, doing interview, settling into his new job. But we still have that what's going on feeling that we got from the first book. But I am sucked into it. But as I say, not much has really happened, and I'm trying to remember if that was how I felt with the first book as well to begin with. So it's going to be very interesting to see where we'll get in like the next 2/3 of this book. At the moment, I'm not really sure what this is doing to my reading slump. Is it good? Is it bad? I'm gonna get tired of it if nothing starts to happen. I mean, a little bit. Things are moving along a little bit, but nothing really seems to go anywhere. But I am reading, so I mean, that's good. This just is too confusing. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Time is running out. I need to return this book to the library pretty soon. Sometimes I don't use a bookmark. It's just a thing that I do, and then I'm like, where am I? I'm here. I've this much left. Hey, that's like 100 pages. What has actually happened in like this part? Because we're following Control. That's his nickname. Wait, is this one straight? He's been sent to stabilize the Southern Reach and try to figure out what's going on. He's going through the old director's notes, but there's other things going on beneath the surface all the time. It has that mysterious feel that Annihilation had. One thing that I've realized is that I think that I waited too long to read this book. I should have reread Annihilation, because I feel that there's stuff that was going on in that book that I've forgotten, like details and things that would have made this book even better, I think, because there's like stuff in the back of my mind that I can't reach 100% when I can feel them when I read this, but I can't really access them. I waited too long. So I'm not gonna wait too long to read the third book. Yes. So let's finish this book. What do I look like? There's something going on. Something's going on. Okay, so some absurd things are happening. It's getting pretty weird. I finished the book. It got really intense in the end, and we sort of ended on like a cliffhanger almost, and I won't wait as long to read the last and third book of the series. Mainly because I'm now really into it again, but also I felt that it was so much that I didn't remember, or it was just like, as I said, in the back of my mind. When I was reading this, I didn't remember as much of Annihilation as I thought I did, but I think it's also because it's very mysterious. Both this one and Annihilation it very much builds up, and you can sense that there's something askew, like something's not quite right, but it's really hard to put your finger on, and you have that mystery, that build up, and there are little hints and things happening. So I feel like I should have had Annihilation fresher in my mind before going into this one. There was a lot of build up in this. It's mostly taking place in the Southern Reach, like in the actual government building that where they deal with Area X and more on hands-on on site. So we're not spending any time in Area X in this one, which I wasn't really expecting. I think I was expecting it to be a straight continuation from where we left off in the first book. But this really builds to the mystery, and I quite like this. We are introduced to some new characters. Things are loosening up a little bit. Before we had these titles, we didn't really know anyone's names, and now the lines are sort of getting a bit fussy, and there are people trying to figure out what happened, not only in the last expedition, but also tracking back and see what's actually been going on here. So yeah, and this last part, I think did wonders for my reading slump. It was just so intense, and everything kind of developed pretty quickly from just this sort of day-to-day work in the Southern Reach. So yeah, I'm really excited to read the last book, and I haven't been disappointed by the series so far. And this experiment in general, I think, has done wonders. I feel much more excited now about reading. I have, as I said, one more book in this series and one more book in the Stockholm series. Then I've finished both series. So that's also a bit exhilarating. And I'm actually thinking I want to pick up the next book in the Mistborn trilogy as well. This reading series has just kickstarted something in me, I think. It feels so good. It was a bit of a slow start to the year with my reading, but that tends to happen almost every year. And there was things going on in my life that made me not read as much, but also I think the books that I picked wasn't really doing it for me. And now, as I've gone back to series that I really enjoy, that I knew that I like, and then of course also started Mistborn, I feel that I'm back on track. I'm back on track. Yes. There's also a couple of series that I haven't started yet, like The Devils and The Tainted Cup, and I'm starting to feel that itch to pick them up. We also have the next in line in my Stephen King journey, which is Christine. This one I'm not as sure about, but I also really like Stephen King's writing, so maybe it will just work. What are your best tip and your best book to get out of a reading slump? That's what I want to know. Lastly, I said that I would just try and enjoy life because my life has been chaos. And although my life has just continued in that chaotic, messy, I don't know what's going on, I've also really started to just enjoy life again, which feels amazing. I don't know if it's a sun or if it's perspective or I don't know. Here we are. And I have really enjoyed reading. So I would say mission accomplished. Thank you as always for hanging out with me. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'll see you in the next one.